These are ancient biblical bloodline migration routes of these families, and I want you just to look at it really quick before I say it because I like your reactions. They're pretty awesome.
All right.
So this
What's
existed
the one on the left?
before
Because you just handed me two things.
So
this is a map over here on the right.
These were already existing, and what happened was that's so fascinating, again, is when I matched up these kings lists and these locations with these ancient bloodline charts, it matched not only similar, but precisely. What you're looking at are you know, not that. I'm sorry, turn that over. It's that.
This right here.
That,
yeah,
and then the other side of that.
Okay.
They're double-sided.
Yep.
They're showing you bloodlines that were depicted of different regions of the world.
I'll have this in the corner of the screen. I'm gonna have the one with the language real fast on the corner of the screen. Mary Magnum. I might be reading this wrong. Mary Magnum.
No, look at the names. Look at the other names. Japheth, Shem. See him?
Yes. Yes, I see him.
Okay. Now look at the chart and look at the one below you.
Is that written in like calligraphy? Like what do we call that?
Yeah, I think so. Look at the one below you though. Now look at the map.
Okay.
See how they have different colors for where they supposedly went.
No.
Look at the color.
Oh, well, I'm looking at the right side. Sorry, the left side. So 1, 2.
So see how there's like Egypt was one color, and then you see how Turkey and the Mediterranean is one, and then you see how the Persian area goes down as another.
Kind of.
Yeah,
I'll put that in the corner of the screen.
three sons went to three different regions of the world, is what it's saying.
Okay. I'm making this note for myself to put that one in the corner of the screen.
Now if you remember from King Hake, remember? Keep the one on your right.
Right here.
No, the other one. Pull that out. Okay. Now remember King Hake is a descendant of Japheth. Remember that?
Yes. Yes.
Right on there is a descendant of Japheth. It says Japheth went to
Europa.
That's exactly where the king list mentions as being an ancestor on. Remember? Now, then it talks about how some of the sons went to different places. It says that Shem went to Egypt. And guess what? Created the Great Pyramids of Egypt. He's Thoth. He's Thoth. If people want to know,
who's
okay,
Thoth again?
Thoth
You
is
said
the
that
ancient.
earlier.
Thoth is the ancient Egyptian god of wisdom and knowledge, who supposedly is the one who, like, maybe even be connected to the Amaruka and the feathered serpent.
So he's a god.
He's a son of Enki, and he's connected to the serpent and the dragon. So Egypt, if you go to Egypt today and you look at the pharaohs, they have a cobra on their front forehead representing the snake, the knowledge. It's the symbols follow us everywhere. There's no serpents in that part of Turkey or in Greece in the same way because the influences were different. Now we're gonna track this through archaeological discoveries and libraries all the way to Atlantis in the Athenian civilization. We've just begun on this part. I just wanted you to see those bloodlines because it's incredible. Okay. Okay. So let's
keep going.
Let's keep going. So let me see.
Take whatever you need.
Okay.
We got papers. We got research.
we got a lot of stuff here.
We got preparation.
So, okay. So anyway, I want to just mention the three sons, and they're listed with three somewhat different names because, for instance, Ham sometimes is spelled as Sham with a CH.
Yes.
So, if I say something and it's slightly different, there's multiple spellings for these sometimes. Okay. So Zayasudra, and I want to be clear about this, had three sons. His three sons were Shem, Ham or Cham, and Japheth.
Yes.
Now we've already established the first one. We established that Japheth created Cavus Tepe and those civilizations around Lake Von. Now this is what I call the link between everything. I call it the Ararat or Lake Von civilization, and it is going to become, in my opinion, the most important archaeological area in the world in the future, because it's that link that then connects everything else.
Now, it may seem that way, but are you saying that because you want it to be true or you're high confident that it could be true?
No, I'm saying that because the evidence is pointing towards that unequively.
Who have you spoken to about this?
I've deliberately not spoken to anybody
You
about
haven't talked with Randall or Ben about this?
I don't feel like... I respect their work enormously, but I don't feel like I need that to find clarity in my part. I've done this a long time.
But now that you're public with it...
Yeah,
this is
I'd be
be
happy to talk to them about it after. I have no issues with that at all.
Now you're going to want to talk to people.
I would be happy to debate anybody on this or discuss.
Not even debate.
Discuss.
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
Okay.
I'm saying to further. I mean, add more minds to the mix, as long as, there's not closed-mindedness coming in or something.
I'm happy to do that.
You help to find new things.
I'm happy to do that.
Okay.
So the first place we'll go on this journey, and when we continue to connect all this together, is, I don't have any images of it in front of me, but again, getting back to, remember what Diodorus and Solan and Ken Bliss says, there were two civilizations that had become super civilizations.
For people who are listening to the second podcast, because I believe we did it in the first, quick 30 to 60 second refresher on that.
So we were basically providing the best evidence to show that Atlantis was real, right? Yes. And we're talking about how it's far more than just Plato. Plato's descriptions, but you get into this elder priest of the Temple of Zeus in Egypt named Sanchez, you find out. And you find out that Diodorus and Solan and Socrates, they all played a part in this. And what this temple priest stated to Solan when he discussed him the old ancient world was that there were two civilizations that had reached like this pinnacle, essentially is what I want to call it. Is that, and it's funny because they didn't mention Egypt, which is weird because they have the pyramids there, but they apparently labeled these all in a different category.
But you were also talking down the Library of Alexandria earlier and other things as well about Egypt. I mean, I do want to get to the pyramids before you have to get on your flight, but that was interesting to me.
Yeah,
Continue.
okay. So they mentioned that there is a civilization that becomes highly sophisticated and advanced called the ancient Atlanteans. And they described it as being near like the Azore Islands area west of the Pillars of Hercules. And listen, for all the people that are going to go, what about the Richat structure in Mauritania? I have no doubt, based on the genealogy of the kings of Atlas in that region, that there was certainly some kind of a connection with that location archaeologically, except until we find some kind of archaeological evidence from the Richat structure, it's going to purely be just a hypothesis. But I just want to make that clear because I'm not closed-minded to that not being somehow part of Atlantis. Okay.
Noted.
Great. So what we find is that they describe how there's these two pinnacles of civilization pretty much of all time. And it's this Atlantean civilization and then another rival civilization called the Athenians or the pre-Greeks. And they talk about how those two were this predominant civilizations. Now,
how did the Athenians, according to what you study, how did the Athenians civilization's advancement or, I guess, like abilities compare with Atlantis? How close?
Atlantis seems to have definitely delved into a completely different side of things.
Because you said digital.
Yeah, they seem to have delved into things that maybe they weren't supposed to, too. Because it even in some descriptions described them as perhaps playing a role in their own destruction. Like, physically. Yeah. I know.
What does that look like?
Well, imagine if you were playing with energy technology, weapons. They discuss how they started creating weapon technology. And how maybe they misused it on the Mid-Atlantic Ridge and like caused their own destruction.
Bitch, this is continue.
So what they are saying is Atlantis lost its heart, and that Thoth was once a priest there, but not the same incarnation as before. It states that he's had many incarnations. Okay? It states that he's had many incarnations in that he was an ancient... No, he's not on that. Okay. But it states that he had an incarnation in Atlantis later in his life, after the initial Egypt. And that he left with a lot of sages when Atlantis became corrupted. It talked about how they started playing with like black magic and technologies and weapons and all these things. And how the Athenians... Yeah, the Athenians were the only ones that could stand up to them. But in a way where they were like masters of maritime masters and were the best soldiers in the world is what it's described as, the Athenians. I mean, it makes sense. Watch 300, right?
Yeah.
And so...
But they're way...
Well, and by the way, as a side note, they thought Troy was a myth, by the way. We found Troy.
Yeah, where's Troy again?
Troy's in Western Turkey.
Everything's in fucking Turkey.
So anyway, quickly we're realizing that so much that was a myth is actually real. And so getting back where we were, if in Greece today, outside of Delphi and outside of Athens, we find massive and beautiful megalithic work on the lowermost levels of a lot of structures, and then more primitive stuff on top from the actual Greeks. It's there. And not many people are talking about it. Ben is well aware of it. And there are others from, Megalithic Marvels and other social media sites that try to point this out.
Sure.
They show images of people standing next to them. There's one where there's a guy standing next to one of these megalithic walls in Greece, and the block is like taller than him. The block.
Oh my God.
So the precision is there. And it's showing you that there was a path from Lake Vaughn that Japheth took with Haldi, the Enlil's god. And by the way, Enlil was the Sumerian name. Haldi was the Armenian Ararat name. And then he became, the whole Olympian gods, Zeus.
Yes.
He's Zeus. Dude, he became Zeus in Greece.
How far back are we
What do
right
you think
now?
the Titans versus the Olympians were, man?
Yeah,
it was Atlantis versus the Athenians.
Son of a bitch. How far back are we right now?
We are way back.
Like ballpark.
Well over 13, 14,000 years ago. Now,
Before Younger Dryas.
yeah, imagine this. Yeah. Where is Olympus? Where is Mount Olympus? The Olympians, Mount Olympus is in Greece.
Mm-hmm.
Zeus is the head of Mount Olympus as the younger generation gods, according to them. And in Atlantis, the Titans were supposed to be the older generation gods of Atlantis that were competing and fighting in a war against it.
Now, did they make them gods in later text and legend because of they came way before them and had incredible civilizations and then turn them into these features like Zeus can throw lightning and shit?
No, I think they could actually do that. I think they were very, very powerful, and I think we continuously underestimate what they are, and
they're like magic.
You know the best way to describe them? They keep making all these superhero movies and X-Men things. It's like that.
Thank you for watching the video, guys. Please hit that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.